So we want, tell the world that's watching, everybody that's watching, a little bit of your history with David, the who, what, when, where, and why, and how'd you meet him?
Sure. So I met David at one of our mutual friends, and I remember it was a networking event, but David came up to me and he goes, I feel like we need to meet. I feel like I have a purpose, in your life you have a purpose, in my life I feel like we need to connect. And no one's ever approached me like that before, so I was a little thrown off. But also I felt it. I was like, okay, he's putting words to what we're both feeling right now. Like, there's a reason we met. There's something going on here. So he began coaching me. And at that time, I was working in a full-time job. I wasn't happy. I knew I had the calling that I was meant to be doing more. And I knew it. And I knew that every day I worked at that job, I was going against my calling. And it was hard because you have to put food on the table. You have to always doing all the things. I was operations manager in corporate, and then I was still studying full time, and my calling was to be a coach. I knew what my calling was, but I just couldn't figure out the how. David really helped me gain my confidence. He really helped me piece together my story, and I think that's really important as well, because from the trauma I went through, my strategy for going around it was always bottling. I bottled everything up, and almost when I talked about it, it's like it didn't happen. I would talk about it with a smile, like, yeah, this thing happened, and I would laugh about it because I didn't process it at the time. So David really worked with me one-on-one to piece together what my story looked like, piece together those memories that I tried to run away from in a way that I can heal them and look for the blessings in all the things I've learned and experienced. So he got me through getting out of that full-time job, which is such a blessing. I mean, that was a huge leap of faith. I didn't have a backup plan. That was full faith, full intuition. I don't know what I'm doing, but today I'm saying no to the thing that's not serving me, and right now it's my job. So I quit my job with no plan. I let go of everything. I let go of my apartment. I got rid of all my clothes. I got rid of the car. I got rid of everything. And I said, I'm just going to go in the direction that God's pulling me, and things are going to work out.
Whoa.
And I'm so grateful I did that, because that was in 2019. And I had to move. I spent a couple months with my grandparents. My gut was telling me you need to spend time with your family right now. 4 months you need to be with your family. So the last 4 months of 2019 I was with family. And then my gut said it's time to get on a plane and go on a one-way flight to Thailand.
Whoa.
And I was like, this is crazy. And I knew the timeline. Like, I need to do it in December. I need to be in Thailand by December. Didn't know why I was being called there, but what a blessing it was that in 2020 I was stuck in Thailand during COVID.
Wow.
And I missed all of it. And it was such a beautiful blessing because it created the space and the abundance and the energy for me to build up my coaching practice, which I just moved back to Miami with last month.
Wow,
so,
there you go.
David was such an amazing gift in my life, and I'm so, so grateful to be here, to be supporting him, to be sharing his story as well.
That's one of my favorite quotes is, don't fake it till you make it. What is it? Don't fake it till you make it. Faith it till you make it. Right? I love that. Boom. Wow, that is great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your amazing story, and welcome. And this is defining you and those around you. So let's get started. Thank you so much.
I'm very, very happy and extremely grateful for Tiffany Taylor, Coach Tiffany Taylor. She's a mental coach. She's, what else do you do? You do so many things now.
I do. So I do holistic productivity.
Holistic productivity. What that means, I have no idea, but she's going to tell us, I promise you. But first of all, at the beginning, Gary interviewed you a little bit, and he asked about how we met and things like that. For me, asking you, what did you feel like? What was your first impression? Like, what the hell? Who is this guy? What are you? Be honest. You can say anything.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I know it threw me off because people approach me all the time, but not to offer any kind of value, especially not in Miami. So when you talk to me, you're like, I want to be your coach. I'm like, wow. Okay, normally people try to take things from me when they have conversations, so I thought that was awesome. And we're neighbors, so I was like, you know what, why not? I already know that God talks to you through other people. I mean, you're not going to hear a voice out of the sky usually. It's usually through other people. And I was like, wow, what a blessing this could be. So let's explore.
And what was interesting was throughout the weeks or months after that, we knew like one of her best friends, Tyler. We knew, like, we had all these connections, but we never met. But we knew a lot of the same people. It's a small world in Miami, for sure.
So many.
But it's a small world, and me and Gary always say that. It's a small world, but quality people are hard to find. Unless it's what you're doing, right? So if you're in a specific industry, those are your people, right? But when you're open to everything, it's very difficult to find someone that's, thing. And I'll steal this from Gary. He says, like attracts like. He always talks about that. And for me, it's like I look for the connection. So when I say I pray, it's like, what's the connection here? With Andrea was our first speaker this breakout session. It was really her physique on stage. It's like, how could she look so perfect? And then listening to that hurt and that pain and everything she was going through, that was the connection. It's like, oh, I got to hear her story. And with Tiffany, it was that drive, it was that joy. She just had this like aura and light about her, and she's like, here I am, and I know who I am. Like I got this. Like she just owned it. But I needed to hear her story as well, and that was the connection. So, and I'm glad you trusted me with that. So we did a lot of sessions. What was your first breakthrough, you think?
I think it was realizing that I was living in scarcity. I was living in a scarcity mindset. I had a great salary, but it didn't matter because I was really living in scarcity of time, scarcity of energy, scarcity of finances. I could have been making $500,000 a year, and I still would have been penny pinching and so afraid to lose $1 at the time, and I didn't realize it because I lived in it, and it's all I knew. So that was the first breakthrough. It was actually like, I'm in a good place. I'm okay.
And the cool thing about it is, like I said earlier during the seminar, when it came to Tiffany, she had a great job. Like, she had to put up with, one person in her company. That's it. There was only one person above her. And not only was she fulfilling her job, but she was like basically running the company. So it wasn't like it's like, this is a girl that doesn't know what. No, she's very, very entrepreneurial. She's very professional. She's very dedicated to her job. She worked like me when I ran the gyms. So there was already that connection there. And for me, it was just listening to her, sharing with me, I'm not fulfilled. Like, I'm just not fulfilled. Like, doesn't fulfill me. I want to do more. And you wanted to speak and you wanted to do more.
So when we were speaking, let's just be very clear that I was living what I thought was my dream life. I went from being homeless. I was literally like renting a pink yoga mat in my Uber driver's apartment in Miami Beach. I went and met my first life coach. An hour with her, my life shifted completely. Within a year, I had an amazing salary, company car, 6 weeks paid vacation, a trip to Europe every year. Like, I had everything I wanted. I was living in a high-rise with an ocean view apartment. I really couldn't ask for much more. Not to mention, I was 21. It's not what the average 21-year-old gets to experience. And I just came so quick that I realized, well, I have exactly the life. I knew what I wanted. That's the life I wanted, no doubt about it. I loved everything. I miss my closet still. But I had everything I wanted in the wrong way. And that's where I knew I had to let go. And that's scary. I had to completely let go of everything. And I promised myself, I'm going to let go of everything for getting it too soon the wrong way. I'm going to release. I'm going to quit my job with no plan. I'm going to sell all my belongings. I'm going to get rid of the car, get rid of everything, and I'm not going to come back to Miami. Miami's always been the love of my life. Like I have this love affair with the city of Miami. And I said, I'm going to come back to Miami, but I'm going to do it the right way. I'm not going to come back to Miami until I'm working for myself. I'm not going to come back to Miami until I'm healed. And I'm not going to come back to Miami until I'm ready to take over the city. And here we are.
Can I just have some of your juice?
Sure. Here we are 2 years later, and I've done just that. I left everything behind. I took that time for spiritual healing. I needed it. I took that time. I held that space, healed a lot of others in the process, and now I'm back here sharing my story. So it's just so cool to be looking back when we were having those conversations, which feel like yesterday, and to see what's happened since then.
Well, and the thing about it, we never lost touch. We kind of knew where we were. And she was in Thailand, she's in here, she's in there. It's like all these amazing places. And when we talked about influencers earlier, what she was posting, everything had a message. So every post had a purpose. And that's what I was trying to kind of touch on earlier. It's like when she's talking about, I am here doing with professional Taibo or professional Muay Thai
kickboxing.
And in the ring, and she would write a message why she was doing it. Okay, everything had a purpose. That's why I was looking at you, because I know you have the answers to what I was trying to share. it was that purpose. Everything had a purpose. Everything had a plan. There was something behind it. And it wasn't about, hey, come look at me, I'm a coach. No, it's look at me, I'm living my life. Look at me, I'm living my purpose. Look at me, I'm going after whatever I desire. And everything she's desiring is good because she was ready to find herself. So she's like, okay, what I like, what I need in a man, what I need in a relationship, in a friendship, whatever is desired now because now she knows who she is. So now, so why am I going to say don't travel? Hell no, go do whatever you want. You already know who you are, so just go for it. But what she said earlier, that's the, and I think you haven't wrote that book yet. And I told you should write that book. From a yoga mat to the tower.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, when you say that you did everything, everything you had when you were 21 was wrong, what do you mean it was wrong?
It was the wrong way. It was the wrong way. I had everything I want materialistically. I had amazing friends. I had an incredible social life. I had a gorgeous apartment, like giant bathroom, big bathtub, huge, like dream-worthy closet.
But it was,
and I'd already traveled. Yeah, and I'd already traveled through 20 countries. Like, I had a really good life. And it just, I don't know if this resonates with you, but when you feel like you have it all and you feel like there's something missing, that feeling doesn't go away, it follows you.
Yeah.
And I knew at that point that feeling that there's more wasn't going to go anywhere. I already had the calling to be a coach. I already had the calling to be a speaker. I just couldn't understand the how. I couldn't understand what that process would look like for me. But I did know that continuing to doing what I was doing wasn't going to get me closer. It wasn't.
Okay.
And it was that, and it was that feeling of I know this isn't going to go away. And
Just because you feel that you didn't deserve to have all that.
no, I deserve it. I'm going back for it, 100%, 10 times over.
I
Yeah.
have heard from other people say that, and they say like they have they call the imposter syndrome.
Oh, I'd never
The
had
guilt,
that.
the guilt.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah, imposter syndrome didn't affect me at the time, but it was more of I want to do this on my own right because I had all those things, but one of my strongest values is freedom. And so I had all of those things. I had all those currencies. I didn't have the currency of time. I didn't have the currency of freedom. My dream was to be able to have a friend call me and say, jump on a plane. And I'll say, yeah, let's go. Because that's the life I wanted.
That's what I miss that.
But once you know it's possible and you see someone else doing it, if you have a conversation with them, it gets you that much closer to being able to manifest that in your own life.
And that,
But also
say that again. Rewind.
when
need to hear that.
you need to know it's possible, you need to have that conversation with someone who's already done it. And then you need to realize it's possible for you. And that's really, really important.
You're going to surround yourself with
Yeah.
people who are doing it.
And here's the other thing. God's working in your favor every day. The universe is rigged in your favor. Now, if you're not walking in purpose, that's going to be really difficult because every step you make in the wrong direction, you're going to feel a little nudge, a little push, and you're going to feel frustrated because you're like, why do you keep giving me all this pushing in the wrong direction? Well, actually, it's pushing you in the right direction. But what happens is when you start walking in the right direction, all of those pushes aren't to the side. They're not back and forth anymore. It's just forward.
Yeah.
It's completely forward, and that's where you get your momentum from. And I knew that staying in the same place, the same people every day, wasn't going to get me there. I know that God talks to us through people. I knew I needed a new environment. I knew I needed new people around me. I needed new inspiration. So I completely let go, and I let God, and I said, I need to book a flight? Okay, fine. I'm going to put myself in the middle of Asia,
Nowhere.
and I'm going to find out what this is. I'm going to create that space for myself.
You're very self-aware.
100%. And this is like every session was really exciting because you see why. This is like we were finding out everything she wanted. Basically, I want this. There's two things that she said, right? She said the time. What else?
Freedom.
Okay. That is what she. Remember what? Let's go back
Knowing
to
yourself.
defining yourself.
Yeah.
That is what she needed. She needed to acknowledge the things that she liked and she needed in her life. Sometimes like and need go together. Okay?
Absolutely.
I need freedom. So I can certainly relate. It's 100%, right? I need to, and time is not my own. I realized that through cancer. My time, I'm on borrowed time. Every single minute that I'm living, I'm on borrowed time because I was already told I was going to die in 2006. So I look at my life, I'm on borrowed time. So who's got control of my time? Not me. All I can do is control what I'm doing with my time.
You.
And when I listen to her talk about time, because we were trying to do a session, it's like, the schedule's full, and then there's this, and that, and I gotta do this, and I was like, but I want to see you. David, I want to see you. Don't get mad at me, or I want to see you, and blah, blah, blah. And then we finally figured out the times and whatever. That stressed her out. And I went to her office. Her office was on Alton Road, right across the street from me. On 5th, right?
Fifth.
Yeah. And she had the whole office. She had the whole company. Everything was running with Tiffany. Everything was running by Tiffany. And her skills were just, when she says, okay, so let me define this and you tell me if I'm wrong or right. When she says she got it the wrong way, that's who asked that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I define her is that she got it doing something that wasn't what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
What she wants now is to do that, living her purpose.
On my terms.
On her terms.
Life on my terms.
On her time, in her own freedom, to everything that she lost, God's going to give it back to her, right? She didn't lose it, she gave it, which is even more powerful. Now, I'm sorry, I forgot how old you are now.
I just turned 25.
25. Okay,
God.
so
Amazing that you find out now.
here's the thing. Rochelle is not watching this. Rochelle was here, a breakout session last seminar. She quit her job, okay, and now is working for Dave, right? But she's 25 as well. Here's the thing though. When people, the reason that I always push her, and I push Rochelle, and I put these young, and I call them young people, because you're still at that age where you can impact a teenager at 15.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, a teenager might listen to me because of what I've done or accomplished. But when I was in my 20s and I go to a school and speak, they're impacted by your look, they're impacted by your drive, by your smile, by, because that's what kids, what? They're physical. Are you cool? Are you too cool for school, or are you just cool, right? She can impact a 50-year-old and she can impact a 15-year-old. Okay? And so can you, and so can Rochelle. And so, but I'm saying, so for me, it's like empowering her and just pushing her and pushing her and pushing her and just like, come on, Tiff, just keep going. It's like, can you imagine young people? I mean, there's a lot of young people making money.
It's a millennial world right now.
But here's the thing, are they going to keep it?
Probably not.
And what is going to happen with their lives?
They can.
What happens to a young person when they have too much money and they have no morals and they have no guidelines and they have,
They lose it all.
They lose it all, but they can lose their own life. Right now, I'm talking to you right now. Look what you went through, right? So if somebody said to you now, go travel, forget the pandemic, forget all that stuff, under regular circumstances, there's no doubt that you say, book me a flight. Okay, but how do I get a 20-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 25-year-old or a 40-year-old to think that way? How?
Tell them to talk to me.
Exactly. Why? Because what are you going to do?
I'm sure they experience.
Exactly. What is this all about?
Living life and experiencing.
And sharing your story.
Yeah.
What is my story supposed to do for other people? Give them hope. What is her story going to give to people?
Same hope.
Same thing. Hope.
And speaking about sharing your story, I think it's important to share in the beginning as well. And you mentioned earlier about sharing with random strangers and feeling good, right? So I went through a lot in childhood, very traumatic childhood. And by the time I'm trying to think what age I was now, probably 14. Yeah. When I was 14, I disowned my dad. And by that time, I'd only told, I think, 3 or 4 people about what happened in my life. And I made the executive decision to get my phone camera out. And this is around the time when there was a trend on YouTube where kids would hold up index cards and write out their whole story on index cards. And then one by one, they're like dropping the card, telling the story. And I hopped on that trend and I shared my story. And my family was livid. Even my mom's side, they're like, you can't do that, this is personal information, you can't go airing your dirty laundry, you can't take this off the internet, once it's out, it's out. And I'm like, no, I'm doing this, I'm leaving it up there. And I posted it, and I never looked at it again. And one day, I was managing a restaurant when I was 16, and one of the employees that I hired on, she said, have we met before? No. She goes, well, I feel like we have. Like, what high school did you go to? And I was like, I go to this one, but no, we never met. She goes, okay. And then she comes back like 10 minutes later. She's like, do you have a YouTube channel? And I'm sweating. I was the boss. I'm sweating bullets. I'm like, I do have a YouTube channel. Yes, I have a few videos. She goes, that's what it is. She said, my homeroom played your YouTube videos for the whole class. She goes, the homeroom classes, we're all doing this to share your story to inspire the other students.
Oh, wow. Is it still up?
Yeah, it's still up.
Oh, I told her to keep it
Still
up.
up. Yeah, you told me to update it.
Drive home.
Yeah. I still haven't looked at it in a long time. It's good to look backwards, but that was really it was therapy for me. Over 12,000 people saw it, by the way. 12,000
then.
people in a small town, so
Back then.
everyone knew what happened at that point. But it didn't even matter who knew or anymore. I think it was more of like I was carrying shame, and once I let the word out, and once I just shared what happened, I took that weight off myself, and I owned it, and I was like, this is what it was. And I decided I don't like sharing the story this way. I continued to share my story as I traveled. When I went traveling, it wasn't some, grandiose planned trip around the world as it sounds. No, I ended up broken and practically homeless in Europe after I spent my life savings moving and falling into visa problems. So I ended up couch surfing and hitchhiking around Europe. And what did that mean? That meant talking to a lot of strangers, sharing my story, because they would say like, oh, nice to meet you. Like, who are you? What do you do? I'm a 19-year-old with like nothing right now. I'll tell you the whole story. And then eventually you keep sharing your story so many times, you begin to think, how do I want to share this story? What do I want my story to be? And it's through that evolution that you get to start to critique it as well. So sharing it helps a lot.
The story was that she was basically in Europe. She couldn't get a visa back, and she basically was broke and stayed in like couch surfing. That was a big thing for her. And then she learned a lot about that. And then 2 years ago, she leaves again. And and it wasn't glamorous, and I never said that, by the way, but it was just the fact that everything that I saw, what I saw was the Tiffany that I found out who she really truly was. So I was actually seeing posts about her. Even if she was suffering, she was not letting anybody in, but she was making sure she made specific statements that people could read between the lines. So when I would read her post, it was like, okay, she's not perfect, but she's doing exactly what she wants. She understands who she is. She journalizes a lot. I told her that one little book needs to be just put out there. That couch surfing and everything like that needs to be out there. I told her to do another video with the cars. We haven't done that yet, right? You have a young lady right here that, again, think about being in Europe, traveling Asia. This is a very, very beautiful woman, and having to deal with all kinds of things, and not being in trouble or nothing happening to you that I know of. But I'm assuming that things came up, or people tried or whatever. But so for her to live through all that right there alone, I cannot wait to hear. And secondly, for her to have that courage to just live life. So I hope that this message was really driven home. So if you're thinking about, wait, why am I not happy? She said it. You can have it all and still be empty. You can have it all and still feel like something is missing, right? So I hope Tiffany's, story, and it's just a short version, but I hope it inspires you, and I look forward to doing more stuff with her. But I really hope that one of you, someone that's listening to this today, was looking at their life and thinking, wow, what am I afraid of? How do I get courage? Well, someone that knows how to. So, anything else?
Thank you for that.
I think it's important to understand that courage isn't the absence of fear. You can't have courage without the fear first, right? And at the end of the day, when I live my life, I don't take it that seriously. I look at it more like, I look at my life more like a story. I mean, to think that this is all real, it's crazy. Like, I changed travel changed my perspective. Like, we are living on a floating rock, and we're wearing business suits, and we have houses, and we're like, wow, we're just the best species ever. Look how cool we are. We have titles. We created cars. Like, we're the shit, right? But at the end of the day, like, that's not like a really good, like, come on. Come on.
Oh my God, I love you.
It's not that serious. Like, there's so much more to us that we can't even realize that we can tap into. And the more you start to push those boundaries and push on the edge of the box, you realize that it's like pretty much holographic, right? We're in a holographic universe. And once you realize that, now you have power. Now you realize I can decide these things. I'm the casting director of my life. I decide who's around. I decide who's in my life, who's in the movie, and what their role is. I define that. That's up to me. I decide when I'm going to throw in a plot twist. I love throwing in plot twists. And I call them that, and I say that now because I said it on social media sometimes. Following my social media over the years has been a story. And it always seems like it's going in one direction. And I say, plot twist! We're doing this instead.
Very true.
All the time, there's always a plot twist. And that's the thing, like, you're not the person you are right now sitting down in this chair. Like, that's not who you are. You are the creator of that person. You've co-created your circumstances, your personality, and all of your memories. You're the co-creator of that. And when you take control of that, you can decide what's going to happen next. And time's going to pass anyways. Time flies so quick.
Time heals.
Time passes so quick.
Who defines you?
We do.
Who makes the choices?
We do.
You see why she's here? So again, I don't know what else to say because that was awesome, and you could have kept going for another 30 minutes, and it would be awesome. You know, I really enjoyed every session that I had a chance to really learn who Tiffany Taylor was. Excited to see who she is now and who she's going to become. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's very true. Everything that she says. Remember, you define you. You make your choices, and it's your life to live. Don't let anyone else, like she said. You get to choose who's around you and who makes decisions, but don't let anybody else define you. And with that is Breakout session number 2. I want to thank all my speakers today, my host, Gary Stephen Arias, my Breakout speakers, Tiffany Taylor, and of course, Andrea Calhoun, and all of you watching. Thank you for being part, and thank you for supporting the Empowering Women in the Now series that I got to write 5 years ago, and I will keep going. God bless you guys, and good night.
Thank you so much, David.